Welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I am your guide and host through the show, and today is our monthly series called Better Business with Ben. This is Ben Lawless from Compass here in Chicago. Ben is one of my favorite agents to talk to because not only does he run one of the most successful real estate teams here in the city, he also is a bit of a visionary. He's constantly working on his business as opposed to just in his business. And he and his team do hundreds of deals a year, and he's always looking to maximize efficiency, productivity, and profitability. So he is here to help you do the same. Ben, how can people follow you online?
Easiest is benlawless.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Check out the Ben Lawless team on Instagram. Can I give a quick shout out to where we're filming here at the Content Club Chicago? They do all of my video, and they're kind of doing this for free for DJ and I.
Yeah, we love the Content Club. They are a great place if you are a content creator, even outside of the real estate space, and are looking for a studio to work with and professionals to help edit, film. This is the guys to work with. So what's their website?
Contentclubchicago.com. And yes, I did get paid for this ad.
And we should also mention, following Ben on Instagram, he and his team, especially the Content Club team, really create some very unique Instagram reels, videos, stories. I like the content you guys created. It's funny, it's timely, it's particularly value focused as well, which I think is very unique. And so huge shout out. So please do follow him. You'll get some great ideas.
I guess quick tip before we get started is the only reason you are aware of my video and the team's video is we do it so consistently. And I mean, consistency is everything. It's like everyone's rolling their eyes right now. Okay, we get it, DJ. We get it, Ben. Consistency. But wouldn't be a Keeping It Real podcast unless someone on it talked about consistency.
Yeah, it's all fundamentals. As much as I wish there were, after 7 years and almost 700 episodes, I wish I was coming to the audience with brand new tips.
We'll talk about consistency. Why are you the biggest real estate podcast for real estate agents and by real estate agents? It probably has something to do with the fact that you are always doing it. You never miss a week, and you got that husky, awesome voice.
That's yes, some of that is true. Yes, the consistency piece is very much the reason. I've just been doing it longer than about anyone else, and the more you do it, the better you get, I hope. Yeah. And certainly our audience appreciates it. So yeah, we love doing this. But yes, you're right. There's no magic formula to this. I started on my own. I didn't have any real knowledge about how to put a podcast together. I still don't know as much as people might think, but I just do it a lot. And so this is what we're going to talk about today is how do you get yourself, and by the way, I don't always want to be filming episodes, right? It's not always, I don't wake up every day and go, I can't wait to film another podcast episode. Although a lot of days I do wake up that way, but some days I don't. I still have to do it. I also don't want to go to the gym a lot of the times, and I have a trainer who puts me to work, and because I pay her, that is what's enabled me to have consistency, because in that particular instance, I do have to have an accountability partner. As much as I would wish I didn't have to pay for a trainer because it is very expensive, it absolutely is the only thing that has consistently got me to the gym. I literally don't miss, and I never want to go. So we're going to talk a lot about today. You don't always have to pay somebody to get yourself to do the things you should do and don't want to, but that is certainly a strategy. And we're going to talk about that because there's a lot of activities in this business that really will generate, and me too. Look, I'm a real estate recruiter. The reality of it is, if I make a certain number of outreaches a day and follow-ups to the realtors I'm looking to recruit.
You know your numbers.
Yes, and for 14 years, almost to 14 years, I really never followed up. And I kind of got lucky along the way, but I wasn't really always recruiting the agents that I wanted to. I was just recruiting the easiest agents to come on board. And that really wasn't the smartest play. And so now I'm having to do what a lot of us are doing, which is I know I should be following up more with my sphere. How do I do that? And how do I do it when I don't want to do it? So yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so before we you and I can spin a talk real estate forever about everything. So the topic of today's episode is, we're calling it call shame.
Yes.
So let's identify the problem first. What do you think?
Yeah, the problem is that I often don't want to do the activities that are the healthiest for my business, for my personal life, because they're hard. And they're painful at times. They take time. And, I'm a human and I don't always want to do the things that are best for me. I don't always want to floss my teeth either, but it's a good idea, right? So how do I get myself I'll tell you how I got myself to floss my teeth, by the way. I needed an accountability. Now, I'm lucky I don't really get cavities, so I didn't floss my teeth because when I don't really need to do that. Of course, I still do need to do it. So about 10 years ago, I was like, I need to get an accountability partner. So I had somebody for every day for a year that I paid, not a whole lot of money, but I paid to just check in and say, did you floss your teeth today?
A VA?
Yeah, basically a virtual assistant. Yeah, that was exactly right.
You're crazy.
She also calls me every day at 6 a.m. because getting up at 6 a.m. is not easy for me. So now I get up at 5:55 a.m. and I send her a message so she doesn't have to call me because I don't want her to actually have to pick up the phone and call me because that's embarrassing to myself. So I have created systems in my life. I am not a super motivated person. In fact, when I've done these, this is a really important thing for people to realize because I think they see me. I make videos almost every day. I do podcast episodes every 2 or 3 days, and they think, wow, you're just super consistent. The reality of it is I've done the Clifton Strength Finder report, which is amazing. If you haven't done it, I really encourage everyone. It's by Gallup, the polling company, and they look at the 34 basic characteristics of any personality, and they look at your strengths and your weaknesses. Number 33 out of 34, the thing I'm second least strong at, discipline. So I am not a disciplined individual. It's not part of my makeup. I have to have these systems.
Interesting. I mean, you said it kind of all, but today we're going to get, I think, a little focused on why agents are not picking up the phone and how they can develop strategies to motivate themselves or find someone to help motivate them to actually pick up the phone and call. Because take it from me, every single time I pick up the phone, whether it's a client that's under contract, a client I'm working with, someone that I'm trying to retain, or a lead, I'm like, this person doesn't want to hear from me. That voice is like, why are you calling this person? You're going to be bothering them. They don't want to hear from you. They're only talking to you out of pity or whatever the story is that we're telling. So for, right now I'm pseudo out of production, right? But from, call it 2014 to 2022, really, this was the biggest challenge because if you talk to any real estate coach, any team lead, the first and easiest thing for them to tell you to do, and the cheapest thing for any real estate agent who's listening to do, is open up your phone, start at A, and call every single person. I always said I would call any single person in my phone unless it was an ex-girlfriend. That was the only one I would give myself a break on. But every single person, whether it is, a friend, family member, dentist, like it didn't matter. So, but just like everyone else, I struggled to find, honestly, like the courage to do it. And it wasn't until, for me, the biggest trick for me, and you said it earlier, was finding an accountability partner. For me, that was hiring a coach.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the KPIs was how many phone calls did you make? And each week he would ask and we would log it. And, the hardest thing to do was to not lie to myself and not lie to him. And you really, kind of like what you just said, where you don't want your VA to have to call you at 6 a.m. I don't want to go into that meeting and say, I am a lazy piece of shit and I didn't make my calls this week.
Right.
So at least, and I'm paying this guy a ton of money to basically just yell at me to make sure I did it. But that was one of the, the first breakthroughs. And the real breakthrough was, you're paying this guy every single week for 52 weeks. And it really took until probably week 26 where it became a muscle, right? Where every single day at, for me, it was 9 to 11 a.m. every single day, I called. And honestly, I think text is fine also, as long as you're trying to engage somebody in conversation. But that was what I needed. And the question that everyone needs to ask themselves is, like, really look inside and say, what do I need? I know every single agent in the entire country needs to be calling and staying in front and not just sending a newsletter. Making videos, great, but without that personal touch, you're not going to make meaningful connections and you're never going to get the opportunity to say those fateful words. Who do you know who's looking to buy or sell this year? Because I tell my agents anytime I have the opportunity, if that sentence, how that if you make X number of calls, there's Y% conversion.
Yep.
I believe that if you can say the words, who do you know looking to buy or sell real estate this year? 100 times, I guarantee five people are going to say, oh, my so-and-so, my colleague, my friend, my family, my sister, whatever the case may be, and congratulations, you did your job. And, you know better than anyone, and so do I, 5 times, I don't know however many, let's say you're able to accumulate 100, that's probably going to yield somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 deals a year, and that's a lot.
It's huge money.
It's huge money. And how much did that cost me, DJ?
Just your time.
Yeah, just my time. So sorry, I'm going on here.
No, this is great.
I'm passionate about this. And it's important to really understand what it is that you're scared about.
Yeah.
Right? Because ultimately you are not making those calls out of fear, right? Fear of sounding stupid, looking stupid, not having something smart to
Bothering
say.
someone.
Bothering someone. And when you actually look underneath it, it's just a story you're telling yourself. I want to tell a story here. So 2 years ago, I bought a home, okay? And I hired a real estate agent. I hired someone on my own team because I didn't want to manage my wife. That's a whole other story. But I actually believe in the profession.
Well, there is an expression that an attorney that represents himself has a fool for a client.
Exactly. So I knew I was going to get wrapped up in emotion. I knew I had 2 kids at the time. My wife doesn't, wants to be treated like a normal client. I just can't do that. So anyway, I hire him, and I'm going to make a longer story short, but we close. And excuse me. Every quarter since then, so 8 times, this agent on my team, he's a veteran in real estate, not in the military. He calls both myself and my wife. Okay. How stupid does this person need to feel to call his boss and his boss's wife when he's picking up the phone saying, if I'm him, I'm probably thinking like, oh my God, like I talk to Ben all the time.
Right.
Like, do I really need to be making this phone call? But every single time I get that call, that text, that voice note, I feel so good. And I know what he's doing. I taught him how to do it.
Sure.
I feel so good as a consumer.
Why do you feel good?
It feels so nice that somebody is thinking about me and my home and my family and is checking in to make sure everything is going right. So in that circumstance, which, I'm going to a pretty serious extreme. You're calling, the
Right.
owner of one of the biggest real estate teams in the city.
Right.
In a pseudo employee. He's a 1099, but a pseudo employee. And he has the balls to actually make that call. And I'm telling you, I love it. And I look forward to it. And he's very good about, and this is the other piece of it, is he's really good about finding something of value that he can bring. Hey, Megan is my wife's name. I know Ben is probably on top of it, but do you need someone to pressure wash? The snow is gone. Do you need someone to pressure wash?
Oh, I love that.
Do you need someone to pressure wash your sidewalk or, or the house or the deck or whatever the case may be? And guess what? We did. And we used his guy, and it took something off my plate, and it took something off of my wife's plate, and I look like a hero even though I didn't really do anything.
And he's actually really smart too, because while you're running your team, you might not be thinking about Megan, who is in the legal field. Megan has coworkers. They all own homes or rent.
Yep.
And he might call her and he's like, hey, is there anyone at work that has, mentioned anything about moving? And you might not even know that because you're not thinking about that.
Yeah, because I don't ask that question.
And she's not your client.
Yep.
So I wonder if he's got business just by asking, is there anyone you know?
Well, let's be clear. That business would go to me.
Sure.
No, but
but it's still a good idea because it might uncover opportunities that you might not know.
So, but peeling back the curtain, I know he was probably like, why am I making this call? And I have told him, I am not lying to you. I really love that you make that call. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I know
somebody who's not expecting it.
Well, also, I know everything.
Right.
Right. I know everything about the market. I know more than most about houses. I know more vendors than I care to know. and I enjoy it. Can you imagine a first-time home buyer
Sure.
or someone who's never purchased a home, and you get a call that's meaningful, and someone says, "Hey, Susie, like I know, sorry to bother you. I know you're probably not thinking about this on a Tuesday at 2 p.m., but I was taking a look at the neighborhoods that you mentioned that you were interested in, and there's a few houses that I think you should take a look at. And I just, I know you're not ready, but I wanted you to see what these houses are trading for. It's real value." And Susie, in this example, I don't know why I chose that name, has an expert calling them,
Yeah.
thinking about their financial livelihood, thinking about the home that they live in. It's really, really powerful. It's much more powerful than whatever story it is that that every agent in the entire country, myself included, thinks that they're doing to these people. It's just, frankly, not true.
Yeah, and there's so many reasons that we can. So we're dealing with call reluctance. We're dealing with some fear. I'm going to be bothering this person, so don't bother them. Think of a good reason to contact them that isn't just, hey, can I get some business referrals from you? Because you can always ask for that after you give value. So I'll tell you, I want to back up just for one quick moment to identify sort of people's feeling about not doing what they know they should be doing. So we all feel this way. So Ben doesn't like to make cold calls. I don't like to make cold calls. I don't want to make follow-up calls. I don't want to be calling somebody for the 15th time going, boy, I'd still love to talk to you about joining our company, because they're probably going to say I'm good, but it's a good idea. So if you are feeling like I should be doing more and I have some shame around it, well, welcome to the club. We all have a little bit of shame around it. It's okay, because it's hard for everyone. I'll tell you a really quick story. My friend Lawrence Dunning, you might know Lawrence. So Lawrence is an
Main Street?
He's with Main Street, yes. And he is an ex MMA fighter. He's a Golden Glove boxing winner. He is also an Ironman triathlete. This is an elite athlete.
No discipline issues.
Yeah, no discipline issues. And when I started working out, I said, Lawrence, I'm really struggling with leg day. I don't like it. He laughed at me. He goes, nobody likes leg day. So nobody likes making these calls. And I went, okay, if one of the most elite athletes is telling me he doesn't like to do the same things I don't like to do, okay, cool. So you don't have to feel shame about this. We just have to get you to do it. So what I would recommend is let's make a list of all of the reasons you could call somebody. And as you were talking about power washing, I thought of a few, calling and saying, hey, when's the last time you checked out like an accountant? If you have an accountant, great, but maybe we should get you a second opinion just to make sure your accountant's doing the right thing. Estate planning, when's the last time you got your will done or updated? Or
Property tax appeal.
Even just, hey, I have some great doctor recommendations. Do you have a good dermatologist? I have the best one in town. It could be anything that's not even necessarily real estate related. I would love for somebody to call me and be like, and I love my dentist and I would never leave him, but if I didn't love my dentist, I would love if somebody, I don't care who they are, goes, I just found the best physical therapist in Chicago, or one of them, because a doctor was like, oh my God, you have to meet this physical therapist. They're like wizards. So now I have that. I would tell everybody about this physical therapist, because a lot of people need that. So if you have a good reason to call somebody, even if it's not necessarily real estate related, that call reluctance really goes away.
Yeah. And I want to touch on two things that I think are really powerful. And this is the messaging I tell myself every single time I do something that I don't want to do. And I'm kind of like talking into the camera. Every time you do something that you don't want to do and you're a real estate agent, I think you leave about 5% of the entire agent community in your dust. And then you do another.
Absolutely.
You do another thing. All right, cool. You're 10% ahead. You do the hardest thing that you can think of, and you make it so that it actually becomes part of your daily routine. You are leaving hundreds, thousands of people in the dust. So in my position, it's like, if I'm able to bring on 2 agents and retain them and coach them up, there's very few people who are able to do that, right? Maybe 20% of all real estate agents in the country are really good at it. Cool, I left 80% of people in my dust. Now, if you're a solo agent or a team, whatever it is, and you are able to make calls consistently to your people, you are leaving a dramatic number of people in your dust.
Yeah. And if you're worried about bothering people with these calls, even though you feel like you have value, they're not going to answer if they don't want to. Nobody answers the phone anymore because we don't need to, because we can read the voicemail as it's being transcribed. And if they're going to read your transcription, maybe they'll listen to your voicemail, but don't worry about bothering them. Nobody answers the phone if they don't want to.
So I'm also, as you know, um, an operations and systems junkie. Okay, so I have two pieces of software I think people will really like. The first is for texting, right? So instead of like going in, you're saving about 30 seconds per text. But the first one is called Hit 'em Up. Are you familiar with it?
No.
So you remember when I said that, if the first thing I would do is go through every single person in my phone and call or text them. So this is a service called Hit 'em Up. I'm not a paid sponsor for this. But what I did is one time, and it takes about an hour, is I went and I categorized every single person into my phone. For me, I just did A through Z. So it kind of like batches them together. And what it does is, it's the same general text message. And so if I were to do, I actually did my F and G's today. 16, it's 16 people. So I have like a pretty generic message saying, "Hey, I was just thinking about you. What's the latest on the housing front?" And I could go in and modify
This is
it.
a text message.
It's a text message. And what I would do is, so after you hit send, it brings up the next person, and the copy is already there. I go in and modify it. I hit send,
Right.
and then it brings up the next one, modify, hit send, etc. So the whole process of texting those 16 people maybe took me, I don't know, maximum 10 minutes.
But it's got their name in it, or it's got something in it that's
and
unique to them.
there's AI. You can do hey first name,
Yeah.
and the first name will change, so the first name into whatever your context is, and you have an opportunity to change stuff before you send it.
Sure.
Religious about it. So, I do, 4 letters a week, and that's just that. Additionally, have you heard of Sly Broadcast?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So additionally, as part of like our retention plan, so like depending on how long, every single person in my database is getting a voicemail from me. So what Sly Broadcast is you can actually record. So I pre-record 4 voicemails, for each time of the year throughout the year, and you literally set it up once, and then it just runs for the entire year, and it goes straight to voicemail. So your consumer isn't their phone's not ringing. They're like, "Oh, I have a voicemail from Ben," and it's just an additional touch point that's really, really easy to automate. So yes, on the one hand, the gold standard is picking up the phone, calling each of these people, praying that they answer, maybe leaving a voicemail. But there are a lot of different ways that you can, get your voice and get that personal touch without consuming all of that time. The second piece, kind of going back, so on top of like that motivation, which is kind of abstract, of leaving, I'm really competitive, leaving all of these agents in the dust. You and I were talking about before this is setting up either, we call them carrots, something that you're, really working towards or would be excited to get.
Reward.
A reward. What's the opposite of a reward?
Punishment.
Punishment. Yeah. Setting up rewards for yourself and punishments for yourself. Going back to that coach I mentioned, his name was Charlie. Every week, if I didn't hit my numbers for calls, I would have to donate $50 to, it doesn't matter what my political allegiance is, but I would have to donate $50 to the candidate that, I really, really detested.
Yeah.
So that would be the punishment.
Yeah.
And you know what? I actually didn't have a carrot. I work really well on negative reinforcement. That's how I get stuff
Sure,
done, and I know
sure.
that about myself. But for people who are watching, maybe each time, like maybe you don't get your morning coffee until you make your calls.
Well, my negative reinforcement at 5:55 a.m. is I don't want for me, it's embarrassing to have my assistant call me at 6 a.m. to go, "It's time to wake up. I'm 48 years old. I don't want that." So at 5:55, I immediately scramble and send her a text message. I'm good. I'm up. And I've been doing that for over a year. It's punishment. It's the fear of punishment for me.
So again, a lot of this, yeah.
It's good. We're doing good.
The magic of movie making.
This is a good one.
I think there's also, I don't know if you ever would. What if we just we don't have anything. We just chop it up and see where the fuck it goes.
Well,
Have you ever done that?
one thing that one thing I would, no, but one thing I would like to do, if not that, is go on I don't have the audience yet for this, but go on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, I have the ability to do this, and say, we're here to take your questions. Now, the problem is getting people to attend it live. That's tough, but 'cause
And I would love that
you have
too.
to really promote that. But yeah, because
You ready?
where were we?
Carrots and sticks,
Where
my
were we
coach.
picking on?
Oh, coach.
Carrot and stick. Then I mentioned the
Oh, I know where I was going.
kids out of school yet.
One is already in camp. The other one's school ends on the 11th.
Camp,
11th.
sleepaway camp.
No, he's
Day,
3.
day camp. That's right. Your kids aren't that old. You have what, 7 and 3?
Are we going? Are we live?
7 and 3?
No, 3 and 5, and 1 on the way. Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, you want to do some sitting?
Sure. Well, yeah, why not? I would do that.
Would you? Why?
I don't know. I like kids. We're looking to move out to Oak Park in the next
Are
year.
you? Wow.
Yeah, because everybody loves.
You
it
need
out
an
there.
agent?
Tammy Grayson, I think.
No,
Who?
me.
Are you the Oak Park guy?
I have Oak Park guys.
You do.
Yeah.
You have a good one.
Yeah, Mark Buckner. Do you know Mark?
No.
He lives in Oak Park.
Can I work out a deal with him where I just pay him a flat fee or something, or?
The fuck,
I can't-
motherfucker.
I'm not paying him 2.5%.
Oh wow.
Did you
look
pay
at you.
2.5%?
I did.
Wow. Did you really?
Yeah.
That's really kind of you.
I got half of it back.
Well, okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I'll work out a deal like that.
Are we rolling? So the question is for everyone who's asking is like you know this whole thing we're talking about fear. We're kind of like becoming like therapists in some regard. Is you really have to look deep down
Mm-hmm.
and understand what it is that you're afraid of, and then set up your own reward and punishment
Yeah.
system, and then eventually, just like anything else, as you work that muscle, as the fear is going to decrease every single time. A great example is, making a call is, in my opinion, way less scary than going on a listing appointment. And
Sure.
my first 10 listing appointments, like I was like shitting myself.
Yeah.
I was so scared.
Yeah.
But then slowly but surely, after more and more practice and a ton of role play, I got more comfortable. And on the topic of role play, going back to, I had a Tom Ferry coach. He was that's who Charlie was. Every morning at 8:30, right? I was making my calls from 9 to 11. At 8:30, I had a role play partner, and he and I were role playing calls. Just, we weren't role playing like buyer presentation, objection handling, etc. We would pick up the phone and role play with each other. Say, hey, I'm gonna make my calls. Can I practice my call on you? And we would be role playing like essentially a normal conversation. Hey, how are you? Oh, I'm doing great. And try to bring some value. But we
Yeah.
had to role play it before I got comfortable because I don't want to. People are going to be able to hear my nerves, etc.
Sure.
So the more you practice,
Yes.
the easier it's going to be.
Yeah. I also encourage everybody to do what athletes do, which is they mentally rehearse the hard parts of that particular technique or their movements. And I have interviewed on this show dozens of ex-professional athletes. They all do this. So there is something to be said for spending a few moments and actually visualizing yourself doing the hard things, getting through them, practicing what you would say, and ideally you get somebody to do it live like you did with an accountability partner.
Yeah, exactly. So in the end, all of this comes down to, are you willing to confront the fear and actually do something about it? And, DJ, I think you probably have this, I'll call it problem, is you spend a lot of time, you come in here, you talk to me, and maybe we get through to, I don't know, 2% of the people that are actually listening,
Mm-hmm.
and God bless. But to those 2% who are actually going to do this, take it from me, it actually works. And the biggest challenge that we haven't talked about is, I should make my calls, but is there really an ROI on the other side of it? Guess what? You're never going to know until you do this for probably 6, 7, 8 months
Yeah.
before a check hits your bank account. And that actually is the hardest part. And I think a part of the fear is, am I going to do this for I don't know how long, spend hundreds of hours doing this and not end up yielding any fruit? And that is the hardest, potentially one of the hardest parts. I value my time. Is this really worth it? And the answer is, don't take my word for it. You talk to any top performing agent
Yeah.
in the history of real estate.
Yeah.
And 95% of them are going to say that this is a foundational component of why they were able to get to the top.
Yeah, it is. I just talked to a top producer out in the western suburbs here in Chicago who's been doing it 20 years. And I said, what's the secret to your success? She goes, just like you, I make dials every morning from 9 to 11 and I never miss. And she's like, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more to it, but she said, if I don't do that, the business isn't there.
Yeah. And for me, okay, I make those calls 9 to 11. This is going to go out on my socials. I'm doing a newsletter. I have a Google My Business page. My web is strong, but it's a lesson in layering, right? If you have this, foundation of making these calls, even if you end up leaving a voicemail, but then you're also hitting them on Instagram and you're hitting them on LinkedIn and they get your newsletter and they get a flyer. Come on. Like, it's not rocket science that eventually these things have a snowball effect and you're going to, be great. If you're a brand new agent, who's listening to this, I always tell my team, is like, can you imagine doing one deal a month? That's a lot. If you're, I think that's like the first big hurdle.
Yeah.
Where people can finally start.
You're surviving.
Yeah. Like, oh, I can do this. And because you go a month without a paycheck, that's
scary.
It's really hard. And what we're talking about, some really basic, it's basic, picking up your phone and dialing is basic, but I think we're getting down to something really fundamental about the human condition of that fear of sounding stupid, and you have to confront it before you're able to move forward and actually succeed in the business.
Yeah, I keep wanting my success.
Flow, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Sure. Yeah, because I have
Let's
It's all
let's
right.
put a bow on it, I think.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
repeating
make
myself at this
one
point.
more point. And what was my point? Oh yeah. I have one more point, and then we'll put a bow on it, and it'll be it's going to be around doing the fun activities that you think would be great if they generated, the results, like doing social media videos,
Shiny objects.
shiny objects, and because I get caught up in that. I'm like, oh, if I make my website a little bit more effective or efficient or exciting.
Well, that might be a higher ROI for you.
You'd think so. I doubled the traffic in the last 90 days.
What are
We
you
get
getting?
5.1 thousand to
A month?
a month just from realtors to our recruiting site.
Oh, what about
KaleRealty.com we don't pay any attention to,
Oh,
but
so you
Join
don't know.
Kale is what and are we good? Okay.
Are we rolling? Okay, this is rolling.
So yeah, I wanted just to make one final point to wrap up the ad. I get caught up in this, and I want to make sure that we talk about it just very, very quickly, which is thinking about other activities that we do like to do that we think might be the solution to not having to make cold calls or warm calls or follow-up calls. And I fall into this trap because I've spent the last year retooling our recruiting website, and I think it's better than anyone else's. That's my opinion. And we've been able to double traffic. And I went, oh, that's all I have to do. And these leads are just going to come flying in. And I've doubled the traffic, and the leads are not flying in. Same thing with social media. We think, hey, if I make a cool video, that may do it. And yeah, maybe you get lucky and it does do that. Maybe I'll get lucky one day and the leads will come in with my website. They aren't. And so I have to always go back to the hard thing. But I know the hard thing works. And I have to just remember, I don't always want to do the hard thing, because who wants to do hard things? But it's the way you get stronger at the gym. It's the way you get better at any skill in life. And so, yes, so remember, if it's hard, that's good. And if you don't want to do it, that's normal. So just figure out a way to force yourself or have someone else force you to do it, because you will actually get the benefit. You don't even have to be as good as the next agent if you're willing to outwork them. And you're a perfect example. Not that you're not as good as the next agent, but I know you teach that to your agents, is outwork everyone, and you get the reward. So for everyone listening, this has been another episode of Better Business with Ben. here on the Keeping It Real Podcast Network. We appreciate Ben so much because he is not only willing to share, he's actually out there doing it himself and with his team, and we really appreciate that. We know how busy you are, so thank you on behalf of the listeners and on behalf of Ben and myself. We thank the listeners and the viewers. We appreciate you. You're the reason we do the show. Let us know what you think of the show and where you're currently struggling, so Ben and I can help address that in a future episode. Thank you to our sponsors. Also, thank you to Content Club for giving us this wonderful space and their services here. If you are an agent in the Chicagoland area, you really need to use Content Club. They'll do it all for you. They've got great stuff and they're awesome. So contentclubchicago.com. And also reach out to Ben. Follow him on social. It's Ben Lala's team on Instagram. And you can go to benlalas.com to find all the other cool stuff Ben does and his team does. And if you're an agent in another market and you're looking for a referral partner, because guess what? People move out of the Chicagoland area. A lot of times they go south when they get older. I know my parents are doing that, and they are going to need a referral out in, Florida and all the other places people go. So, and maybe you have clients that move into the Chicagoland area where, one of the big markets here. So connect with Ben and his team. They'd love to chat with you, and maybe you guys can pass some leads back and forth.
This guy. Thanks, DJ.
We will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Ben.
Don't cut yet. Editors, the front end with DJ, when he's talking about Content Club, let's cut that into a post for Content Club, and or the back end. We may use that if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then tag me.
Yeah, so take that and actually use it for.
And then tag
Ethan and Joe.
tag me so that you tag me two different ways. Keeping It Real Podcast. You can just Google it. I mean, it's easy to find. And then my real name is Delphin, Delfin. So yeah, that's what the D and DJ stands for, and the J is Joaquin. So anyway, so on Instagram I'm Delphin Paris. So and if you typed in DJ, I don't know if it'll pop up or not. So just find me, tag me, add me as collaborator, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the shout out.
No problem. Well, you guys are
Hell yeah.
doing some good stuff for us. So
Yeah.
all right, I got to race back, and I got to make my dials.